Hello everyone, my name is Diana Villanueva and I will be discussing my semester-long project for English 391 Advanced Composition for the fall 2020 semester. I will be focusing on invisible disabilities here at the University of Maryland. The mission of this project is to educate the University of Maryland community about the struggles of students with invisible disabilities, elevate their experiences, and prompt further conversations on disability awareness. This includes possible trainings for professors and students, as well as a reassessment of accommodations. An invisible disability is defined as a physical, mental, or neurological condition that is not visible from the outside, yet can limit or challenge a person's movements, senses, or activities. And this definition comes directly from the Invisible Disabilities Association website. Here is a graphic that includes some examples of invisible disabilities. They include chronic pain, chronic dizziness, mental illness, and chronic fatigue. This also includes conditions like ADHD and anxiety disorders. To put it simply, the goal of this project is to educate the UMD community about invisible disabilities, which includes both professors and students, in order to create a compassionate and understanding culture to reduce ableist stigmas. I am making 5 unique arguments. 1. More can be done at UMD to promote invisible disability awareness. 2. Students with invisible disabilities experience unique and unaddressed challenges. 3. People with disabilities experience issues beyond what can be addressed by accommodations at the university level. 4. A current lack of awareness of invisible disabilities increases educational hardships. And lastly, that we need to create an educated UMD community to address this issue. A large inspiration for this project is Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman was an actor who played the role of T'Challa in the Marvel blockbuster Black Panther, as well as numerous other successful films. After his unfortunate passing on August 28th of 2020, it was revealed that Boseman battled with colon cancer. This revelation and subsequent references of Boseman as a disabled man in the media sparked a lot of controversy and opened up a realm of discussion about people with disabilities, as well as what someone who has a disability looks like. As stated best by the Black Disability Collective, cancer is a disability. Unpack your discomfort with this. These disabilities are not always visible and may affect people in ways that non-disabled people do not know or expect. Invisible disabilities affect more people than we think, and as a community, we should be more aware. This issue is critical. We are currently living throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. If you are a student, how has this pandemic disrupted your online learning experience? This pandemic has also affected people with disabilities. They have reported a lack of motivation, resources, and advocate for a reassessment of accommodations. I will go more into depth on these issues later on. For these reasons, it is a very critical and opportune time to have conversations about disabilities. So I ask you all to trust me. I'm a student at the University of Maryland, majoring in criminology and criminal justice and pursuing a minor in United States Latino studies. A huge component of these educational tracks is social and cultural understanding. Invisible disability awareness is something I believe to be important, and as a member of the UMD community, I believe I'm able to understand and distribute this information. Secondly, I have experienced difficulties with mental illness, which is not an outwardly visible disability. I missed the final exam because I was in a depressive state and I was unable to retake it. I have a stake in a change in perspective on disabilities, and I have been affected by a lack of understanding surrounding this issue. Finally, I have taken numerous composition classes at the University of Maryland. My minor is writing intensive, and I believe I am capable of creating content that is both appealing and digestible for my intended audience. Now, how does this apply to UMD? The University of Maryland is home to 30,000 undergraduate students as well as 14,000 members of faculty and staff. According to a 2008 press release by the Centers of Disease Control, it is estimated that 1 in 4 American adults has a disability. Encountering people with disabilities is more common than we think, but what about encountering someone whose disability we cannot see? How can we create an environment that is more supportive? A great starting point is looking at UMD itself to see what they have done to raise awareness. In the spring of 2019, the University of Maryland's Department of Transportation launched the Will You Stand Up For Me campaign on all UM shuttles. This allowed passengers with invisible disabilities to ask someone to give up their seat for them. The Department of Transportation also provided Ask Me For My Seat buttons to student passengers to make the seat exchange more accommodating. I have included a picture of this. It aided people with disabilities by helping to accommodate their seating on UMD Transit. And it helped with awareness, but it was limited in scope. It only brought awareness to students who knew about the campaign or avidly relied on UM shuttles for transportation. The goal of my project is to use this idea and build on it, and attempt to bring awareness to the entire student and faculty community. Next, I will be discussing some of the obstacles. In 2018, researchers Shanna Katari, Miranda Olsman, and Michelle Hanna conducted a study on people with invisible disabilities to investigate their everyday experiences as well as uncover different aspects of discrimination. The researchers found that they experience more difficulties accessing services than people with visible disabilities, and they may even feel pressure to prove it. This creates a stigma around people with invisible disabilities. Since their disability is not visible, their concerns are questioned and sometimes disregarded. This can be questioning about having a disability play card and appearing well, or comments such as, "You don't look sick." The study suggested a movement towards universal design, or making spaces as inclusive as possible to accommodate different learning styles to be able to meet a majority of needs in order to limit the standard of having to request accommodations. In terms of the current pandemic, there are additional difficulties we must consider. Students with disabilities who struggle with online learning are left with limited options since the transition to mostly remote learning. An anonymous student wrote about their struggles with online learning for the Daily Collegian, an independent newspaper operated by students at Penn State University. This neurodivergent student with ADHD explained their obstacles navigating university course loads amid the coronavirus pandemic. They experienced chronic procrastination, extreme forgetfulness, and a lack of external motivators, making it difficult to learn and turn in work. Institutions like Penn State not having a pass-fail grading policy is a lack of understanding on invisible disabilities on an institutional level that is hindering success. I have included a photo of the ADHD control panel where important functions such as motivation, time, sleep, or conversation can be turned on or off, making it difficult to get things done. However, this pandemic can allow institutions to reassess established accommodations and presents an opportunity to provide further accommodations and community education. Since the goal of my project is to inform UMD students and faculty on this issue, I hope that this research helps to accomplish that mission. To investigate more about the status of disabilities on the University of Maryland campus, in early October of 2020, I conducted a Google poll to evaluate the student experience with disabilities. Nearly all student responses reported feeling discrimination or stigma and expressed a desire for further accommodations. One student in particular stated that, "I struggle with depression and ADHD. I receive accommodations on exams, but it is hard to explain how much I struggle with classes being online. It is hard for me to focus, and I don't have any motivation to do any of my assignments." This is indicative that there is more work that needs to be done on education and accommodations here at the University of Maryland. To further contextualize this issue, I have included a quote from Haley Zilberberg, a community member writing for the Invisible Disability Project. She stated, "I hate myself for everything I want to do but cannot do, for the people I have to let down due to flare-ups I cannot predict or prevent, for all the work I must catch up on. I hate the lack of control." This quote helps to contextualize just some of the issues that people with invisible disabilities face. So, how can we help? As community members, what can you do? For the purposes of this project, one of the most important things I will be asking you to do is to be informed. People with disabilities experience frustration with the individual role of having to educate others. This responsibility rests on the community to learn and to be compassionate. With education, the hope is that we can move away from the idea that able-bodied people are the norm, and learning more about people with disabilities is the key to combating ableism and creating a culture of allyship. Thank you for watching. Here are some of the resources that I used for this project.